In a very unsurprising move, the New York Yankees have traded Luke Voit to the San Diego Padres. This was inevitable, especially after the Anthony Rizzo re-signing, that Voit was on his way out. And I wish Voit well with the Padres. I think it's a good spot for him. National League now has the DH. The Yankees, in return, acquire Justin Lange, pitcher who was a first-round pick of the Padres in 2020. He was selected a few picks after Austin Wells, who is the Yankees' catcher prospect, who ironically, the Yankees had a spring training game today against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and Luke Voit was in the original lineup, and I think Austin Wells actually may have replaced him in that lineup. But Voit really was a very good Yankee, was on the St. Louis Cardinals, and really never found any playing time there. And a very sort of innocuous trade in 2018, where the Yankees traded away Chasen Shreve and Giovanni Gallegos. Gallegos has actually been very good for the St. Louis Cardinals, but for the Yankees, was kind of a depth guy, didn't really do a whole lot. And the Yankees acquire Luke Voit. And at the time, and no one really thought much of it. And when he first was acquired by the Yankees, he had a couple of, he didn't really do much. And it's funny, like his role at the time, people don't remember this, like it was sort of, I guess he could play some first, DH, and even corner outfield. There was like a game or two that I remember he played right field. But Voit, eventually, I think what may have happened is either he got sent down or he was just on the bench for a while. And then the second time, once he started getting playing time, he took off. 2018 with the Yankees, he was unbelievable. In a very short sample size, in 39 games for the Yanks, 14 home runs, 33 RBIs, good for a 333 batting average and a 1.095 OPS. Just insane. And carried it over a little bit into that 2018 playoffs. I remember he had a very big, I was in attendance for the Oakland wildcard game, and he had a pretty big, I think it was a triple, actually, off the right field wall. I think he thought it was gone. It might have been misplayed by the outfielder. But didn't have like too many postseason moments for the Yanks. 2019 follows it up with a pretty damn good year. Got off to a really good start, I remember. Only played 118 games, 21 home runs, 62 RBIs, 263 batting average, 842 OPS, 378 on base, and was walking a lot. I mean, had a very good eye, more so, I would say, in the beginning of his Yankee career. But injuries got the best of him. And I think he might have even gotten healthy, but the Yankees kind of leaned more on Edwin Encarnacion in 2019. Luke Voit had no postseason at bats in 2019. And again, I believe at the time he was healthy. He had the sports hernia injury that I think, if memory serves me correct, he got that injury when the Yankees were in London, pulling into second base against the Red Sox. And he did return. That wasn't it for his season, but injuries have always been a problem for Luke Voit. And part of the reason why, I think he ultimately lost his job. But when he's on the field, he was an extremely productive Yankee. Where he really shined, like I said, 2018 comes out, with a boom for the Yankees. 2020, the shortened season, he had the most home runs in all of Major League Baseball. 22 home runs in 56 games, 52 RBIs, 277 batting average, 610 slugging, 948 OPS. Just a really, and as you can see here, for the most part, although, and we'll talk about his 2021 season, he can hit for average as well. He's not just a pure slugger. Like, this is a pretty good hitter, too. And in 2020, in that 3-game Cleveland series, which ended up being a best of 3, ended up being 2 games, does pretty well in that. In the Tampa Bay series, the best of 5, only hits 1 home run, doesn't really do a whole lot in that series. That was a bit of a disappointment for Voit, who had a pretty big role at that point. And so we go into 2021, and at this point, Voit, still has a good stranglehold in that first base spot, but injuries really, really gets him. He only plays 68 games in a 162-game season in 2021, and his batting average drops down to 239. The OBP drops down to 328. The slugging is a little down. The OPS is 764, which still isn't bad. Like, not terrible. 11 home runs, 35 RBIs. The walks to strikeouts, 21 walks, 74 strikeouts, just not a great season for Voit, but, when he needed to fill in, he did a decent job. When Rizzo went on the COVID list, Voit was good depth, but really was losing his role on this team. Whether that was right or wrong is up for debate. Not a great fielder. Like I've said, not a terrible, horrendous fielder, but it's like definitely not his strong suit. That his strong suit is hitting home runs, and he's just a really good hitter. And I think the Padres are going to be happy with acquiring Voit. He is going to help them, and I think that there could have been a role for Luke Voit on this team. Like I said, injuries are a thing. He could have found his way into playing time, but he was just so buried in the depth chart. I mean, think about it right now. Forgetting about like everything else, let me just tell you this. Basically, you have Donaldson, Connor Falefa, Torres, Rizzo, LeMahieu, 5 players for 4 spots right there. And that doesn't include sort of there's a somewhat of a logjam when you consider like the Stanton DH spot, whether he can move to outfield or not. Really, the point is that Voit was extremely buried. It wasn't like, okay, he's one sort of injury away. Not even. Like, I think if Rizzo got hurt, let's just say, then all that would have meant was that, LeMahieu plays first base. So Voit, I think there would have been a Voit. It's also good for him. Like, I think that does come into play. It's good for the player, right? Like, it wouldn't have been fair to him to just sit on the bench until, a couple of injuries happen. So, and not for nothing, the Yankees do save about like $5 to $5.5 million. So you get a little bit of salary relief, and the Yankees do acquire a high upside pitcher in Justin Lange, who last year was on MLB.com was ranked 8th among Padres prospects. His stock has possibly dropped, but still, just the fact that just so recently in 2020 was a first-round pick, so you're not getting nothing either. But also, it's a bit of a lottery ticket. We'll see if Lange becomes something in a few years. But we knew that this Luke Voit trade was coming, and I think that he's going to do well in San Diego. This clears things up a little bit for the Yankees, and I still think that there probably are some still more moves to come. There's still some time. Opening day isn't for another, 3 weeks? Another 3 weeks or so. A little less than 3 weeks. So I think that the Yankees are going to be active still, and we'll just have to wait and see, because there are still some positions that could absolutely be improved, catcher being one of them, although acknowledging that there aren't that many decent catchers in baseball. So don't be completely shocked if they just go with a defensive first system. Any offense they get is a bonus. And as of now, I'm all right with that. In the heat of the moment, when Higashioka and Voit are hitting, 200 combined, maybe less, it might be a little bit frustrating. But, I believe Gary Sanchez, losing him, that is addition by subtraction. And, I think they could probably use a little bit more outfield depth. For better or worse, I think Brett Gardner will be back. That's going to be a matter of time. Even though he's on the roster now, expect it. And I think the Yankees are eyeing some pitching improvements. So that might be where you see a trade happen. Maybe for a Sean Manaea or Frankie Montas or something that maybe we've not heard of at all. But again, not very surprising, but wishing Luke Voit well in San Diego. I think he'll be a good fit there. And the Yankees continue forward. And we'll see what Brian Cashman has up his sleeve next.